Let me say something that might feel a little uncomfortable. The reason people continue to disrespect you is not always because they are brave or powerful. It is often because you have shown them that it is safe to treat you that way. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through 5 clear forms of disrespect that slowly weaken your authority, your confidence, and your leverage. And once you truly notice them, you will not be able to ignore them again. If this is already making you rethink certain people around you, pause for a second, like the video, subscribe, and stay with me because the next part explains how to stop this without conflict, without drama, and without guilt. The first kind of disrespect you should never accept is being regularly ignored or constantly pushed to the side. This one is dangerous because it looks harmless at first glance. There is no shouting, no direct insults, no obvious aggression. Instead, there are late replies, unclear excuses, last-minute cancellations, and a quiet pattern where your time, your words, and even your presence are treated like they are optional. Psychologically, this is rarely about being busy or simply forgetting. People naturally prioritize what they truly value. When someone repeatedly forgets about you, answers only when it suits them, or only engages when it benefits them, they are quietly placing themselves above you in importance. Here's the part most people do not want to hear. If you accept this behavior without changing anything, you strengthen it. Every time you wait patiently, over-explain your schedule, or stay overly flexible, the other person learns that access to you is guaranteed no matter how little effort they give. Respect slowly fades this way. People do not suddenly wake up and decide to disrespect you. They slide into it when there is no cost for doing so. This type of behavior is very common with agreeable, empathetic, or highly capable individuals because they are seen as stable, understanding, and unlikely to push back. The real danger is not one missed message. It is the repeated pattern. Patterns create rules in relationships. Once the rule becomes, I can delay, cancel, or ignore without consequences, your leverage disappears. And leverage is the base of respect. Most people make this worse by trying to fix it with long emotional messages. They explain how they feel, ask for more clarity, and request better treatment. That might sound mature, but psychologically it signals neediness. It tells the other person that staying connected to them matters more to you than it does to them. The imbalance grows wider. The correct response is not emotional expression, it is behavioral adjustment. You match effort with effort. You become slightly less available, slightly less responsive, and you stop reorganizing your life for someone who does not protect your time. This is not punishment, it is calibration. Human beings change their behavior based on feedback, not speeches. When someone realizes that ignoring you leads to reduced access, slower replies, or missed chances, their behavior often shifts on its own. And if it does not change, you gain clarity. Disrespect that continues after consequences is not confusion. It is a decision. At that point, you must decide whether you accept a lower position or remove yourself from the situation entirely. Power is not about controlling others. It is about having options. The moment you stop chasing attention and start guarding your availability, the dynamic changes. Scarcity increases value, and consistency builds respect. The second type of disrespect you should never tolerate is public contradiction meant to weaken you. This one works mostly on the level of social psychology rather than logic. It is not about healthy disagreement. Real disagreement can happen privately and respectfully. Public contradiction is different. It usually happens in front of others, sometimes suddenly, and often about small details that do not truly matter. The real goal is not truth. It is positioning. When someone corrects you in front of a group, interrupts you mid-sentence, or dismisses your point publicly, they are not always trying to improve the discussion. They are testing whether they can lower your perceived status without pushback. Groups constantly adjust hierarchy in real time. Moments like these send signals. If you allow someone to override you publicly without response, the room does not see it as calm strength. The room often reads it as loss of authority. Status is not just how you feel about yourself, it is what others observe being reinforced. That is why this form of disrespect spreads quickly if it is not addressed. One person challenges you, nothing happens, and suddenly others feel comfortable doing the same. Many people respond by becoming passive. They tell themselves they are being mature, that it is not worth reacting, that true confidence does not need defense. That sounds wise, but it ignores how the brain reads social cues. Silence in these moments is rarely neutral. Silence is often interpreted as agreement or concession. The opposite mistake is overreacting emotionally, snapping back, raising your voice, or becoming defensive. That also lowers status because it makes you look reactive and unstable. The right response exists in a narrow psychological space. It is calm, short, and public. You do not argue for 5 minutes. You do not over-explain. You simply reclaim the frame. A brief correction, a redirect, or a steady statement that closes the issue without inviting debate is enough. When done properly, it communicates confidence, control, and boundaries at the same time. What matters is not winning the argument. What matters is showing that public undermining does not pass through you without being addressed. Once that boundary is visible, most people stop testing it. And if someone continues, their behavior becomes obvious to everyone else. At that stage, their disrespect exposes them rather than shrinking you. This is why effective leaders handle these moments quickly and without drama. They understand that authority is protected in seconds, not in long speeches. Public spaces amplify everything. A small, unanswered challenge can quietly redefine your role. The goal is not dominance, the goal is clarity. When people understand where the boundary stands, they relax. When they are unsure, they keep pushing. Public contradiction is not really about who is correct. It is about who defines reality in the room. The moment you allow someone else to do that at your expense, you silently teach everyone watching how to treat you next. The third type of disrespect you should never accept is insults hidden inside humor. This one is especially dangerous because it wears a friendly mask that most people hesitate to challenge. These are the jokes that sting slightly, the comments that sound playful but carry a hidden tone of judgment, belittling, or subtle superiority. They often come with laughter, a smile, or the phrase, "I am just joking," which gives the speaker an easy escape. They can deny any harmful intent because everything is framed as humor. The danger here works in two ways. First, it lowers your value in a way that does not trigger immediate confrontation. Second, it quietly tests how much ridicule you will tolerate without responding. Humans are wired to notice social signals deeply. Even small jokes, when repeated, can slowly affect confidence, self-image, and perceived status. Over time, if you consistently laugh along or ignore these disguised insults, you train both the person and the observers that your dignity is flexible, that your value is negotiable, and that your boundaries are soft. That creates a subtle but powerful cycle. The moment you notice this behavior, your response must be intentional and calm. You do not attack aggressively, because that makes you appear overly sensitive or reactive. Instead, you respond with quiet firmness, a pause, a steady look, a simple sentence such as, "That is not funny to me," delivered without anger. This immediately signals that there is a line. The key is consistency. Correcting it once may not be enough, but repeated calm enforcement teaches the other person's nervous system that the behavior has consequences. You are not being dramatic. You are giving accurate feedback. Disguised insults often serve another purpose as well. They are used to test how the group will respond. If you allow it in front of others without reaction, the group may unconsciously lower their internal ranking of you. If you calmly assert yourself, the opposite happens. The group updates its perception and recognizes that your boundaries are firm. Over time, this shapes how people approach you, speak to you, and treat you in every environment. Addressing it with confidence but without unnecessary drama shows strength and sets a clear standard for how you expect to be treated, instantly shifting how people see you. Over time, this not only reduces repeated attempts to belittle you, but also teaches others around you to respect your limits automatically. The idea here is simple, but often ignored. Respect is not negotiated through words. It is strengthened through behavior. Humor is powerful because it can shape perception, but it can be neutralized by clear and calm enforcement of your personal limits. Once you draw that line, the hidden insult loses its power, and the person using it either adjusts their behavior or openly reveals their real intentions, giving you complete clarity about the nature of the relationship. The fourth type of disrespect you should never accept is boundary erosion, and this is one of the most dangerous forms because it often disguises itself as persistence, kindness, or friendliness. Boundary erosion happens when someone repeatedly crosses your limits after you have already communicated a clear no or expressed discomfort. It may begin in small ways, asking for extra favors, showing up without notice, or pushing you to share more personal details than you are comfortable giving, but it grows slowly over time. Each small compromise feels harmless when viewed alone, but gradually it builds up, slowly redefining what you allow as acceptable behavior. Psychologically, this works because people naturally test how flexible your boundaries are. They gently push at first, watching how you respond. If nothing happens, they push a little more the next time, learning that your limits can move. The most subtle version of boundary erosion is when someone disguises it as concern, support, or negotiation. I just need a bit more time. I'm only asking because I care. It won't take long. Can you make an exception? These phrases sound reasonable on the surface, but each one weakens the foundation of your self-respect. The real issue is that allowing even one exception teaches your brain, your nervous system, and the other person that your time, energy, and principles can be negotiated. The person pushing your limits does not always think, I am disrespecting them. Instead, they simply learn that persistence works, and that is the real problem. Respect is not preserved by constant compromise. It is preserved by clear and consistent enforcement of limits. The response to boundary erosion must be behavioral, not argumentative. You do not over-explain, apologize unnecessarily, or try to justify your position. You reinforce the line firmly and calmly right away. For example, if someone repeatedly interrupts your personal time, you respond with, "This isn't possible right now. We can revisit it later." And then you follow through without offering extra explanation. If they try again, your answer remains the same. The repetition teaches both their mind and yours that your boundaries are real and cannot be moved. What makes this approach powerful is that it communicates authority without emotional escalation. It prevents conflict because the rules are clear, leaving no confusion about what is and is not acceptable. The moment you allow erosion to continue without response, you risk creating long-term patterns where your needs, priorities, and dignity are repeatedly placed below someone else's agenda. Boundary erosion may be subtle, but it is damaging, and its effect builds over time. By recognizing it early, responding calmly yet firmly, and refusing to negotiate your limits, you reestablish your authority, protect your time, and safeguard your self-respect. In simple terms, consistent boundary enforcement is the most effective way to prevent manipulation, regain personal power, and ensure that others treat you with the respect you deserve. The fifth type of disrespect you should never allow is selective respect. And it is one of the most psychologically confusing forms because it hides behind politeness or friendliness. Selective respect happens when someone treats you with courtesy, listens carefully, or behaves warmly only when it benefits them, but becomes dismissive, impatient, or condescending whenever your priorities clash with theirs. Unlike obvious insults or clear boundary violations, selective respect is subtle, and its impact grows over time. It teaches your brain to question your own value because the person's behavior is inconsistent. They are kind when they want something, distant when they don't, and unpredictable in ways that force you to spend mental energy trying to understand their motives. This pattern is especially harmful because it manipulates both social perception and personal trust at the same time. Psychologically, people are wired to respond to fairness and reciprocity. When someone practices selective respect, they create mental confusion. You experience moments of attention or care that temporarily signal value, but these are followed by episodes of disregard that weaken your confidence and blur your sense of self-worth. Over time, you may begin to justify their behavior, telling yourself that it is situational, or convincing yourself that you misunderstood, or even blaming yourself for the inconsistency. That is exactly how the trap works. The disrespect succeeds because it becomes internalized. The response to selective respect must also be proactive and behavioral rather than verbal. You do not argue, beg for consistency, or explain your feelings repeatedly. Instead, you adjust your level of engagement to match their behavior. When they act dismissively or disrespectfully, you respond by proportionally reducing your attention, effort, or availability. When they behave respectfully, you maintain balanced engagement without overextending yourself. This method communicates that your access, cooperation, and attention are conditional, not automatic, reinforcing that selective respect carries real consequences. Another important step is recognizing patterns clearly. Consciously noticing or even documenting inconsistencies helps you identify manipulation and prevents you from normalizing unhealthy behavior. By consistently enforcing boundaries and adjusting your response based on observable actions, selective respect loses its influence because the manipulator can no longer rely on confusion to shape perception. The final lesson is that respect is not something given temporarily, nor is it based on convenience. True respect remains steady, and anything less becomes a form of control. By refusing to tolerate selective respect, you restore clarity, protect your dignity, and stop others from creating a system where your value rises and falls according to their interests. In doing this, you affirm that your presence, time, and contributions are not open for negotiation, and you build an environment where genuine respect is the only acceptable standard.